the world of horror, some monsters grow weaker the more we see them. But not Pennywise. Not this Pennywise. Because the Pennywise we know from movies, the dancing clown, the shape-shifting creature hiding in the sewer, is only a fragment of what Stephen King actually created. In the novel, Pennywise is older, stranger, smarter, crueler, and infinitely more alien. This is the true Pennywise, the novel Pennywise, the version we never saw on screen. The novel introduces Pennywise in a way that feels less like the start of a horror story and more like the moment a predator reveals itself after waiting patiently in the dark. There is no playful circus theme, no whimsical dancing, no sense of childish mischief. Instead, King sets the tone with rain. Cold, relentless, isolating rain. The streets of Derry are empty, washed in grey. The only movement is a paper boat drifting toward a storm drain, small, innocent, helpless, just like the boy chasing it. George Denbrough isn't running into danger. He's running into something that has been waiting, and Pennywise is already watching him. In the novel, the first conversation between Georgie and Pennywise is deeply unsettling because Pennywise doesn't talk like a clown trying to make a child laugh. He talks like something that knows what laughter sounds like, but doesn't understand why humans use it. There's a stiffness to his speech, a strange rhythm. His jokes are just a little off. His smile stretches too wide. His cheerfulness feels forced, like he's trying on human emotions the way he tries on costumes. King describes his face as impossibly white, not painted, not applied, something closer to bone than makeup. His eyes shift colour, slipping from blue to a sickly yellow. His voice slides between tones, too smooth, too rehearsed. It's as if Pennywise has studied human behaviour, but never participated in it. Georgie senses something is wrong, even before Pennywise reveals his teeth. There's a moment, only a single sentence in the novel, where Georgie feels an instinctive, animal-level fear. He was suddenly afraid, without knowing why. That fear is important, because Pennywise reacts to it. The clown becomes more excited, more animated, leaning closer, smiling wider. Fear is not a side effect, it's an appetizer. And then comes the kill, far more brutal in the book than anything the movies dared to show. Pennywise doesn't yank Georgie into the dark. He bites, hard, he tears. King describes a moment of horrible detail, Georgie trying to crawl away with one arm missing, blood soaking into the street as rainwater mixes with it. The child is alive for several seconds, long enough to understand he is dying, long enough to feel every ounce of terror Pennywise wants. Then the clown drags him into the sewer. But even this moment, Georgie's death, isn't the true horror. The real horror is what comes after. Because Pennywise doesn't just vanish, he doesn't flee, he celebrates. He laughs in the darkness beneath the streets of Derry, and the town itself seems to respond. Lights flicker, pipes groan, the storm drains echo like something enormous is moving beneath them. This isn't just a monster attack, it's the introduction of a predatory force that has been awakening, growing hungry and stretching its limbs after a long, cyclical sleep. And from the very first chapter, King makes one thing painfully clear. Pennywise did not stumble upon Georgie by accident. He knew he would be there. He planned it. He wanted it. This is not the beginning of a hunt. This is the continuation of one that started centuries ago. A hunt that is only just becoming visible to us. In the movies, Pennywise is a monster wearing a clown suit. But in the novel, the clown isn't even a physical body. It's a projection, a disguise, a puppet created by something that does not belong in our universe. Stephen King describes the creature behind Pennywise as an entity so ancient that it predates human understanding of time. Not just older than Derry, not older than Earth, older than our entire universe. Pennywise's true form exists in a place King calls the macroverse, a dimension outside of reality, outside the laws of physics, outside of anything humanity can comprehend. When the creature crossed into our universe, crashing to Earth millions of years before humans existed, it wasn't even a thing as we understand it. It was pure hunger, pure instinct, a presence wrapped in an intelligence so alien that the human mind can barely survive contact with it. What humans perceive as Pennywise's true form is itself distorted by a human subconscious. The closest approximation the mind can create is something like massive, glowing, swirling deadlights, free, pulsing orbs of impossible cosmic energy. The deadlights aren't eyes, they aren't organs, they're the naked soul of this creature. Looking at them doesn't simply frighten you, it breaks you. Characters who glimpse the deadlights in the novel don't scream, they lose themselves. Their minds collapse as if overloaded with something too big, too bright, too ancient. They become empty shells, trapped forever, in a state King describes as perfect, illuminating horror. This is why Pennywise wears forms: spiders, clowns, lepers, werewolves. Not because it prefers them, but because humans must be protected from seeing what it truly is. Even then, its disguise is glitch. The clown's eyes glow orange at the wrong moments. The smile stretched too wide. The fingers become too long. King constantly describes the sensation that Pennywise is trying to mimic a human, like a predator wearing a skin that doesn't fit. And the most disturbing detail, the creature does not fully enter our reality when it appears. Only a tiny fraction of its essence slips through. The rest remains anchored in the macroverse, swimming in cosmic darkness, dreaming with an intelligence that has no empathy, no morality, no concept of emotion. To the Pennywise behind Pennywise, humans aren't prey, they aren't even animals. They are tiny sparks of consciousness waiting to be extinguished and savoured. When the losers glimpse its true nature during the ritual of CHÜD, they experience something worse than fear, a sensation that reality itself is peeling away like a thin layer of skin, revealing something vast, hungry, and eternal lurking behind it. The clown is not the monster, the spider is not the monster, the dead lights are not the monster. The mind behind all of those things is the true horror, an immortal cosmic predator that has spent eons drifting through the void, waiting for something new to taste. And when it found Earth, it found fear. Fear isn't just something Pennywise uses. It isn't bait. It isn't a weakness. It isn't even a psychological tactic. In the novel, fear is the essence of Pennywise. The thing it cultivates, the thing it savours, the thing it needs. Pennywise doesn't simply kill, it marinates. And before it devours the body, it devours the mind. Pennywise studies its victims long before it strikes. It listens to conversations through drains. It watches children from the edges of forests. It lurks beneath sidewalks, beneath dreams, beneath a thin membrane separating imagination from reality. It observes what frightens you, not just the big fears, but the tiny ones. The shape of your nightmares, the trauma you never talk about, the thing you saw once as a child that kept you awake all night. And then Pennywise becomes that fear, but not in the way a Hollywood monster shapeshifts, not with neat, clean special effects. In the novel, Pennywise's transformations are described as reality tearing. The world around the victim groans, bends and warps, like existence itself is afraid. When Pennywise appears as a werewolf, it isn't simply turning into a wolf man. The air fills with the smell of wet fur and rotten meat. Teeth grow in impossible patterns, jaws twist too far, bones snap and rearrange in ways no animal could survive. It doesn't look like a werewolf. It looks like your idea of a werewolf, corrupted and exaggerated by your own panic. If you fear birds, Pennywise becomes a bird, but one pulled from the deepest parts of the subconscious. A grotesque parody of feathers, eyes too large, wings that cut through concrete, a screech that vibrates the nerves behind your teeth. If you fear blood, the world around you begins to bleed. Walls drip. The ground ripples like veins under skin. Your reflection stares back at you with empty, bleeding sockets. Pennywise doesn't just take a shape, it warps the context, turning the entire environment into a nightmare you cannot escape. And then there's the part the movies never show. Pennywise experiences your fear as a physical sensation. King describes it like a psychic signal, a pulse, a flavour, a vibration in the air. It tastes the chemical changes in your mind, the adrenaline, the panic, the way your thoughts start to short circuit when terror takes over. Fear is a spice, a marinade that softens you up so every part of you becomes more delicious. And Pennywise loves when you break. The book makes this brutally clear. Pennywise does not want quick deaths. It does not want clean kills. It doesn't want you to die immediately. It wants you to suffer, to scream, to thrash in the dark with no help coming. That is the point. The more terrified you are, the more flavourful you become. The monster is practically euphoric during feeding, drunk on fear, intoxicated by suffering. And unlike the movies, Pennywise does not have to touch you to feed on you. It can feed on your terror from yards away, from across the room, sometimes from another dimension. Fear itself is the feast. Your death? That's just dessert. In the movies, Pennywise is defeated with taunts, shouting, and emotional resolve. But the novel takes things into a completely different direction. A direction so surreal, so metaphysical, that it feels like a collision between a cosmic horror story and a spiritual nightmare. The ritual of CHÜD is not a fight. It's not a spell. It's not even something any human mind was ever meant to experience. It is the moment when Bill Denbrough steps outside the boundaries of human perception and comes face to face with the true nature of Pennywise. In the book, the ritual begins when Bill is pulled, not physically, but mentally, out of his body. He feels gravity dissolve. He feels time unravel, like a thread being slowly pulled out of a tapestry. He can't feel his limbs. He can barely remember his own name. And yet somehow he's still there. Still conscious, still aware. He drifts into a swirling black void. A place where light doesn't just disappear, it's swallowed. This realm is described as older than creation itself. A place where thoughts echo like screams across an eternal canyon. And floating in the centre of this abyss is Pennywise. Not the clown, not the spider, not any shape the human mind can comfortably define. What Bill sees is a cosmic predator, a being so ancient that it remembers the birth of stars the way we remember childhood dreams. It pulses with hunger, with hatred, with amusement at the tiny creature daring to challenge it. And all around it are the deadlights, swirling orbs of pure madness, like celestial lanterns drifting in a black ocean. Each one radiates a horrifying truth. The Pennywise is not simply in this dimension. It is anchored to it, feeding through it, manipulating it like a puppeteer controlling a stage. The voice that speaks to Bill is not a voice at all. It's a vibration in the dark, a pressure inside his skull. It speaks in riddles, in tones that bend his memories, forcing him to relive trauma, grief, and the very moment Georgie died. Pennywise tries to break him, not physically, but existentially. Because the ritual of CHÜD is a battle of wills, a contest of imagination, a psychic tug of war, where two minds try to overpower one another until one collapses into insanity. And Pennywise is a master of this realm. It is ancient, it is patient, it has performed this ritual with countless victims across countless worlds, feeding on their terror as easily as breathing. But Bill does something Pennywise does not expect. He fights back. He latches onto a memory, not of fear, but of childhood wonder, of storytelling, of imagination. He realises that Pennywise is bound by rules, patterns, ancient cosmic laws, and so he uses his imagination as a weapon, as a tether, as a shield. This part of the novel is wildly surreal. Bill describes seeing thoughts as colours, emotions as shapes, memories as tunnels of endless light. He and Pennywise clash in a kind of telepathic wrestling match, spinning through the void like two storms colliding. And then comes the most terrifying revelation of all. Pennywise is not unique. In the depths of the macroverse, far beyond what Bill can see, the creature hints at others. Beings like itself, drifting through cosmic darkness, feeding on fear, consuming entire civilizations like snacks. Pennywise is not the apex predator, it is merely one of many. The ritual pushes Bill to the edge of death, to the point where his mind nearly snaps. And even when he wins, even when he manages to bind Pennywise long enough to weaken its hold on the physical world, the creature laughs. Because Pennywise knows something Bill does not, that defeating its mind does not mean defeating its body. This moment in the novel transforms Pennywise from a horror villain into a cosmic entity beyond comprehension. It reframes the entire story, not as a tale of a town haunted by a monster, but as a momentary glimpse into a universe infested with ancient predators. A universe where Earth is nothing more than a hunting ground. A universe where Pennywise is only one shadow among countless others. The novel gives us glimpses into Pennywise's thoughts, and they are chilling. It is ancient but not wise, intelligent but not emotional. It has no understanding of love, no comprehension of family, no awareness of kindness or loyalty. These concepts are alien to it, irrelevant as colours to a creature born in a lightless abyss. But it understands fear perfectly. It can smell it, taste it, hear it vibrating in the air. It knows how to sharpen it into a blade. Children are its preferred prey, not because they are weak, but because they feel more vividly. Their imaginations are explosive. Their nightmares are rich with symbolism and intensity. Their minds are easier to twist, easier to break, easier to terrorise. To Pennywise, adults taste dull. Children taste like thunderstorms. It is patient, strategic, sadistic. It has waited through centuries of human history, awakening every 27 years, not out of hunger, but out of rhythm, an instinctual cycle that echoes something ancient in its biology. Pennywise has no empathy, but it has curiosity, and humans are the insects it enjoys studying. The finale of the novel is not a simple confrontation. It is both physical and metaphysical, a duel between human will and a creature older than time. When Pennywise dies, it does not explode into light, or fade gently, or vanish in a puff of cinematic magic. Its body collapses into a rotting mass of alien tissue, its eggs shrivelling, the deadlights flickering like dying stars. Yet even as its form breaks apart, it laughs. Because for a being that predates the universe, death is a transition, not an ending. Somewhere in the macroverse, perhaps far beyond our ability to perceive, others like it drift and wait. Pennywise may be gone from Derry, but Pennywise's species is eternal. The movie showed us a monster. The novel showed us a god, or something even worse than a god. A cosmic predator wearing a clown suit the way a hunter wears camouflage, something alive before time, something whose true name is not Pennywise, something that feeds on fear itself. This is the real Pennywise, the shape of nightmares, the face of dread at the edge of the universe. And somewhere, beyond the veil of our reality, it may still be watching, because fear is eternal, and so is Pennywise. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support genuinely motivates me to keep making more videos. Thanks for watching.